way you started, I thought was just absolutely marvelous because it's such a key incident, and you just created so much interest in the character by a little piece of it. I thought it was cool.
But that key incident. What? The key incident, yes. There's also a very oblique message that you're giving underneath that's not brought out. The welding is one part of it, yes. There's also another part of it that is very subtle in your writing.
Like what? I don't know.
Well,
What is it?
What is the oblique message?
well, I guess maybe I misunderstood it. Like the abuse in your family.
Oh yeah. The connection, the welding only happened because it was a connection.
It's all connected.
It's connected, yeah. Sure. And that was, I think a lot of people miss that, but that was what I was trying to show. I mean, I was obsessed with learning how to weld. I mean, what does a Jewish girl from New Jersey have to do with welding? I mean, they don't make sense. But it was like my unconscious, my inner world. There was a way to heal and to get power, you know, when you're going along. But yeah. And then people thought I was because I was being a feminist, and I was a feminist, but it was much other than that.
I think there's much more to it.
Right. I mean, I was driven. I went to a year and a half the school in Oakland for welding, and then they wouldn't hire me. It's in the book. It took a good year for them. And then the guys I worked with that I knew from school said, if you don't hire her, we're walking out. And then they...
How was your experience in the shipyard as a woman coming into it? How were you treated by these sexist chauvinist pigs?
You know, most of them were from Linden and Ferndale, and they'd never seen anything like it. And I was jealous all the time because their wives made them the delicious homemade. They took out their lunches every day. They had this homemade on my little salad, you know. And everything was clean. Their pants, you know. So it was just a different world, and they had it was rough. Nobody knew in those days.
But what is the status of women in welding today?
In any of those trades, I think there's some, but it's still pretty much. But there are some. I went up there a few years ago, and the lady in the thriftway said, "Oh, there's a woman working there now." So I ran down, and there was new owners, and she was just fine. They had learned something in 20 years.
Hi, was it a union?
Yeah, I was in Boilermakers.
And so did that have any impact on either helping you or hindering you in this role?
Well, it just helped the shipyard, but you know, it was pretty.
Did you feel equally protected?
No, I got paid less and stuff. No, but you know, I'm union, so it was good to be union. They made me secretary right away. Nobody wanted to take me. No, I did get paid less, and then I fought for it, and they paid me. But part of it is I didn't have a feel for tools the way guys that grow up with it. That's just reality. I mean, I could do the work, but I had to learn. You know, there is a difference.
Why don't you say a little more about your work with women in the trades, with the organization?
After I left the shipyard, there used to be programs, government programs in those days, and we started a Women's in the Trade in Bellingham, but they had it also here in Seattle. And it was very interesting. We trained women. You know, it was a time when trying to teach women to go to work. I mean, this is coming out of the 50s where women didn't even know to work. So to make a good living. So we had a program, and we really got on board the ARCO and the refineries that are up in Bellingham, and so they started hiring, but we realized the women didn't have the background, so we had to have classes for the math. There's a special way to learn the math. Everything had to be learned, and so it was a good program. It was government funded, and then we placed women in trades. I have no idea, you know, how now.
It still exists, women in the trades here.
It was very big. It was very inspirational because the Seattle people were very. Were you around then? To hear?
contemporarily I work with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
they still exist here?
They do.
Because they were like mentors to me, the women that started. They really knew their stuff, and they taught me how to handle the guys and everything.
In the carpentry trade, it's
Yeah.
now called Sisters in the Brotherhood.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
but I'm not familiar with the Boilermakers.
Yeah. So, Hadiyah, can you tell us what you're writing now?
I'm finished. No, I'm just doing little pieces with Jack and Bob here started, how many years ago? 100 years ago. At East Louise's Cafe, we write together, and it's open to anybody, and we have some satellites now, and I go Monday night, we meet in Ballard now, we got kicked out of Queen Anne, with Julie and some others, and we just write for a half hour, and do some other classes, and it's just fun right now.
Somebody would make an interesting movie if someone.
Actually, somebody in LA was talking to Ruben about they'd like to see it from his story.
Yeah, very interesting.
When were you at Luisa's?
What?
When were you at Luisa's Cafe?
Well, they still go. I mean,
Ah,
they're there all the time. Tuesday and Friday. They have a crew that's been coming for years and years. How many years is it?
20.
20 years.
wow.
What about the piece you're working on now?
Well, we've had-
What's the subject matter of that?
Grandmothers and granddaughters. I'm working for, I took a class with Priscilla Long, who's also wrote a book about craft and has really taught craft. And I'm writing a piece now about being a grandmother and my own grandmother and my granddaughter.
How long did it take you, how long did you work on the book before you got it published?
I started it a little bit before yours, but it's class, so it's been over 10 years. Julie said it took us 2 years to get it published. And I mean, the dedication, 3 of us met. After we finished the class with Jack and Bob, 3 of us met for 9 years, once a week, except for holidays and stuff. And we would go over, we would write together, and then we would hear it, and that's how it really happened. It wouldn't have happened without that.
10 years?
So 10 years.
Hadiyah, I noticed that your prose is very rhythmic now. Did you come to that? You know, how did you come to that? Like that one, new baby, no husband, no job.
That's from Priscilla.
That's from Priscilla.
She taught us to, I don't know how, do you know what's it?
I think it's just a matter of playing with the language and the length of the sentences and using fragments quite a bit.
That was us, she taught us an opening.
You did good.
Thank you so much.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to reading that book. Thank you.
I really want to thank Jack and Bob and Priscilla because they really made it possible, and Julie.
All right.